I mean, we can discuss until the cows come home the rights and the wrongs of Partygate, whether the public have bothered or not. What matters at the end of the day is MPs licking their fingers, putting it up to the direction of the wind and deciding whether they want to topple the Prime Minister. And I get the impression right now they're a venal bunch, are they? But there's probably not much of an appetite for it.
No, not at the moment. And I think they've got to ask the question of what would they have done if they'd been caught too. They've got to address their own consciences. I don't think there's much nobility left in the Houses of Parliament. I don't think there are many people that would fall on their swords. But if they are standing up and saying, Prime Minister, you have to go, they have to question, would they have stood down if they got fined? And
the big question is, who would replace him? Who would want to in the current climate?
Oh, who would you want to? I don't even know at this point. There are very few high-calibre members of Parliament. We have the politicians that we deserve. It's a common saying, isn't it? I'd love to see some people step up that have principles, that wouldn't actually lock people away in their homes, wouldn't take away our civil liberties and then get fined off the back of not following their own rules. I'd love for some strong people to stand up and say, actually, we'll make a difference.
Have you found your own sort of position on Partygate change over the course of time? Because I know I have. When it first emerged, I was enraged by it, especially the thought of that little wheelie suitcase. I don't know why, that's stuck in my craw. Whereas now, I'm bored by it. I really find myself not exercised at all anymore.
I tend to think it's a bit of a distraction. I think the left have been on the Prime Minister's case from the beginning. The mainstream media have been hammering the Prime Minister, trying to essentially topple a sitting Prime Minister. And I think, what are we not talking about? What's going on in the wider picture that they want to focus on? This is a dead cat on this Partygate situation that the general public have kind of lost interest in weeks ago.
Well, it's now descended into farce, isn't it? When the Labour leader was saying, you should resign if you're found to have broken the law. And now he's been investigated by the Met Police. I mean, you know, there's no avenue out of this for anybody. It's just descended into a nonsense.
And then you have to question, was this hypocrisy, or was this just... Did Keir Starmer not realise that he'd been at a curry and beer party? Like, why was he pointing the finger so strongly at the Prime Minister when he knew all along he was guilty of the same crime?
Do you think if Keir Starmer is fined that he is going to, I suppose he's got to stick to his word, hasn't he, having said it? And then we end up in a situation where, despite the 126 fines in 10 Downing Street, that one moment in Durham could actually see the man who should be profiting from this, the one losing his position.
It is a bit strange that he said beforehand that he will step down if he is found guilty. Almost feels like he's putting pressure on the police investigation to not find him guilty. He shouldn't have said anything. He should have waited for the results and then done the right thing, which is indeed stepping down.